Hi, this is Regina. Welcome. Let's dive straight into linear equations, which you'll be expected to know for 2C exams. First, if you're given a straight line and the equation in the general form is ax plus by plus c, you're given a point here and you are asked to find the perpendicular distance from the point to the straight line. The equation is simply a value times x plus b value times y plus c, take the absolute value and divide by a squared square root, divide by square root of a squared plus b squared. Once you have that number, that will give you the distance between these 2 points. The second question that they like to ask is they will give you the equation of 2 straight lines in the general form. They will ask you to find the angle between the 2 lines. The formula is tan of that theta is the slope of one minus the slope of the other divided by 1 plus the product of the slopes. You have to be careful with tan theta. If it's an acute angle, you would want to pick the positive value of your ratio. If they say an obtuse value, you want to pick the negative value of the ratio you get. Let's look at the distance formula and the midpoint formula. Given a point 2, 3 and negative 5, 4, find the length and the coordinates of the midpoint. So the length is the distance between the 2 points. The formula is x minus x1, which is 2 minus 5, plus y minus 1, y minus y1, minus 3, minus 4. You square them, add them, and square root. Do not forget to simplify the radicals. So your final answer here would be 7 root 2. You can pause the video and digest this if this is new to you. The midpoint formula is x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. So 2 plus negative 5 over 2 minus 3 plus 4 over 2. Simplifying that will give you negative 3 over 2 and a half. So that would be the coordinates of the midpoint. And that will be the distance between 2 points. And the distance between a point and a straight line is given by this formula. Ax plus by plus c divided by square root of a squared plus b squared. And the angle between 2 lines is given by tan theta is equal to the slope of one minus the slope of the other divided by 1 plus the 2 slopes multiplied. You can see that if you switch the slopes, you will end up with a negative answer. So that's where we get the positive value will give you acute and negative value will give you the obtuse. Let's go ahead and do some problems. And if you like, you can pause the video and do it on your own. Try not to look at the answers on the board. Or you can stay with me. Find the distance between the origin and the line 3x plus 4y minus 5 equals 0. So immediately I know that there's a point origin which is 0, 0. And the distance between 2 points, and the distance between 2 points is absolute value of 3 times the x value plus 4 times the y value minus 5 divided by 3 square root of 3 squared plus 4 squared. So because x and y is 0, you basically have 0 plus 0 minus 5, and the numerator is negative 5. 9 plus 16 is square root of 5, so negative 5 divided by positive 5 will give you negative 1. Here's another question. Find the acute. I want you to notice the acute word here. Find the acute angle formed by lines 2x plus 3y plus 5 is equal to 0, and 3x minus 5y plus 8 is equal to 0. My task is to rearrange both these equations and get the slopes. Let me walk you through these. So 2x plus 3y plus 5 is equal to 0. Solving for y, taking the 2x on the other side gives me negative 2x and negative 5. Dividing by 3 gives me negative 2/3 x minus 5/3. So my slope is the number in front of the x value, so that's what my slope is. Looking at the second one, 3x minus 5y plus 8, solving for y, negative 5y is equal to negative 3x minus 8, and y is equal to, dividing by negative 5 gives me positive 3/5 and positive 8/5. So this is my slope for the second one, and this, I would call this one M2. It's acute, so I will use the positive value. Tan theta is equal to M1 minus M2, 1 plus. So tan theta is equal to M1 minus M2 divided by M1 plus the product of M1 and M2. So I have negative 2/3 here minus 3/5 divided by 1 plus negative 2/3 times 3/5, and you can see the 3's canceled out. So figuring out the numerator, negative 2/3 minus 3/5, the lowest common denominator is 15. 3 goes into 15 5 times. 5 times 2 is negative 10. 5 goes into 15 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. So the whole thing becomes negative 19 over 15. The bottom one is 1 minus 2/5, which is 5/5, minus 2/5, which is simply 3/5. We can normalize the denominator by multiplying by 5 on both sides, so they will cancel out. And 1 5's are 5, 3 5's are 15, so we get negative 19 over 3 divided by 3, and this is what you get if you multiply it by 1/3. If you multiply it by 1/3, top and bottom, to make the bottom 1, if I multiply this by 1/3, I get negative 19 over 9. The other way of doing this is to turn it into a division problem. Take the numerator, divide by the denominator, keep the front, flip the sign, switch the fraction, just like you've learned in 5th grade, and then you get the same answer. It's really up to you which method you use. I sometimes find going back down to the basics helps me not make mistakes. So you know that tan theta is equal to that number, and if I calculated the theta, it gave me negative 64.65, and it says acute, so I want to take the positive value of that number, which is 64.65. So the theta is 64.65. You simply go to your calculator and go inverse tan, and then plug in 19 divided by 9 tucked in a parentheses, and you will get this answer. Okay, now I'd like you to pause the video and do this problem. I will wait for 10 seconds and then I will show the answer, while your video should be paused until you have the final answer. Okay, so the question is the distance between a point 2, 4 and the line. The formula is ax plus by plus c divided by square root of a squared plus b squared. You simply need to plug in the numbers. Look at your general equation here. I recommend you make a list of a, b, and c. A is positive 3, b is negative 7, c is negative 8. So a is 3 times the x value of the point minus 7 times the y value of the point minus the c value, which is 8, divided by a squared, which is 9, and b squared, which is 49. If you plug this in your calculator, you would get 6 minus 28 minus 8 is negative 30, divided by square root of 58. You can see that the answer choices are in decimal. So you need to plug this in your calculator, and my calculator gives negative 3.94. And you know that it is not possible to have a negative number. So using our common sense, we will take this as positive 3.94, rounding down, and the correct answer given in the book is 3.9. Okay, here's another question that I'd like you to pause the video and take your time and do the problem. In about 10 seconds, I will show you the answers. Okay, the question is, if the theta is an angle between these two lines, what could theta be? Okay, the line is 2x minus 3y plus 4. Rearranging this, we can get the slope. Again, solving for y, we can get the slope of the first one. This is the slope of the first one. And the second one, 2x minus y minus 3. Again, solving for y, as I just discussed, your slope for the second one is 2. So you've extracted two pieces of information that will be fed into the equation that you unfortunately have to memorize. Theta is equal to m1 minus m2 over m1 plus the product of the two slopes. So plugging in your slopes here, and remember, if it's positive, it's acute. If it's negative, it's obtuse. And it doesn't tell us whether it's positive, it's acute or obtuse. So hopefully, they will only have one answer choice to pick from. So m1, I decided it's going to be 2 minus 2/3 divided by 1 plus 2/3 times 2, and that becomes 4/3. So 3/3 plus 4/3 gives me 7/3. So the top one is 4/3 divided by 7/3. You multiply by 3 and multiply by 3 on both sides. You can see the 3's cancel out and you have 4. The 3's cancel out and you have 7. If you plug in your calculator, theta is equal to inverse tan of 4/7. You'll get an answer of 29.7. Rounding up, you see that D is the correct answer. One more time. Pause the video and take your time and do this problem. In 10 seconds, I will show you the answer. But please, your video should remain paused until you do have a final answer. Okay, the question is, if point P is M to M, and it is 5 units from this line here, what could M be? We know that distance formula is ax plus by plus c divided by square root of a squared plus b squared. Our x and y values are m and 2m. We know the distance is 5. Simplifying this, we get 12m plus 10m minus 1 divided by 13, which is 22m divided by 13. And do not forget that this is an absolute value symbol. In a minute, we'll see why that is so important. So 5 times 13 is 65 is equal to absolute value of 22m minus 1. Remember, 22 minus m is also negative 65. So if it is positive 65, you will have 65 plus 1 divided by 22, and m is 3. If it is negative 65, it will be minus 65 minus 1 over 22, negative 66 over 22, which is negative 3 over 2. It should be negative 3 over 2. So this should be negative 3 over 2. Now look at your answer choice and you will see that negative 3 over 2 is not given. And they will not give you both the answers, so you have to be careful about the absolute value. Okay, this ends my session on linear equations. Hope this was helpful. I'll see you again. Goodbye.